I'm surprised you care. This is something people have told me more than once. I always found this confusing and hurtful. I mean, why would I be there to help if I didn't care? Only later did I realize these people were referring to the lack of emotional expression that I have, like right now. They mistook it as a sign of me not caring about them. Unfortunately for me, practical help isn't everyone's love language.
When I was younger, people called me robot, computer, and even calculated. Of course, they were saying this half jokingly, but it was also half serious and always fully stung. On average, the tribe sees us accurately. They recognize the roles we play, what we're good at and not so good at. They know we're thinkers and problem solvers. Expressing and dealing with emotions isn't our strong suit. It can be awkward and difficult. This part is true. But sometimes they make the grave mistake to assume that we don't have feelings at all. At least they treat us that way, which makes our natural struggles even harder. It took us some time to figure out how to connect. But in the end, we managed to dig deep and do it. Let us tell you how we did it and what our emotional experience actually looks like.
Most of the time, Felix and I just feel mildly positive and calm, simply good, but not overly ecstatic. We don't experience a lot of emotional spikes in either direction. No crazy joy, no morose bouts of sadness, and that's how we like it. We obviously don't want to feel sad or angry, but neither do we strive to be super amped up and excited. We know that every high is also followed by a low, and we would rather not swing. Instead of emotional highs, we aim for feeling engaged in what we're doing. To us, there's nothing more engaging than a loving relationship. Making memories together and having meaningful conversation about the things that we care about are some of the most engaging things we can think of. It's what makes us happy, and even if it looks weirdly subdued or maybe even boring from an outside perspective.
The most other engaging activity for us is work. No surprise there. I wouldn't say we like to be busy, but we love being productive. When I manage to spend 3 to 4 hours in a day focused on work that feels meaningful to me, in particular writing, I feel a deep sense of satisfaction. I don't do this because I think I should for some random reason. I do this because the experience itself feels enjoyable to me.
For me, it's no different. This is our average day, feeling mildly positive while being engaged in work and our relationship. But sometimes there are nasty disruptions.
While our calm baseline states look similar, our emotional spikes are different. My emotions are extroverted and it shows. Generally, my state fluctuates more than Holly's. I spike in either direction every couple of weeks or so. I might feel elated, excited, angry, sad, or mildly depressed. The roller coaster usually goes up before it crashes down again. My state doesn't change often, but it can change rapidly. I'm more emotionally expressive than Holly too. I smile broadly, have a full body laugh, and I can be quite dramatic, or so I'm told.
Yes, you can.
In a bad state, I like to talk my feelings out loud, right then and there, quick and dirty. These heightened states don't feel fully real. I know they're transient. I might get lost in feeling giddy or morose for a moment, but I'm mostly able to observe the feelings from a centered perspective. There's no deep desire to cling to such states, not even the positive ones.
In contrast to Felix, I'm less emotionally expressive. Of course, this doesn't mean that I don't feel or care. My emotions simply just don't show as much on my face. And expressing them does feel incredibly vulnerable to me, and I only do it with the people that I'm closest to. I can also swing from feeling giddy and excited to also low and unmotivated, but instead of actively showing the bad state or even tantruming, I retract and sometimes I sulk. I have the unfortunate tendency to ignore painful emotions and suppress them. It's only over time that I've learned to recognize them as warning signals pointing to unmet needs. Felix's extroverted, quick and dirty way of processing emotions doesn't work for me. Before I can talk about the problem, I need time alone to figure out what's wrong, which is often far from obvious to me. We've learned to respect each other's needs in the years since we've been together. Being out of touch with your feelings can give you low emotional intelligence. If you are disconnected from your own emotions, it's difficult to be compassionate. Because I had been unable to hold space and mirror other people's emotional states, they felt like I didn't care, while this was absolutely not true.
What we described so far are our default tendencies. However, we're not sentenced to repeat those patterns ad infinitum. We can cultivate our weaker areas with determination and patience. In fact, when we met, we mainly connected on values right from the start. We were both dedicated to our own personal growth, and we were looking for a partner who would support us on that path. While we think quite differently, we individually ended up with similar goals for our lives. We wanted to live in the same way when it came to a family life, friends, work, and also topics like religion and finances. We quickly realized that we value the same things. But we needed to come to a place where we knew what we individually valued and how to communicate that. We both don't think that we would have been able to make the relationship work in our mid-20s. We weren't self-aware or settled enough yet.
Also, talking to each other felt simply easy and interesting and good. We resonated in our own calm and subdued way, and we made and make each other laugh a lot too. I think overall it just felt right and much better than anything else that either of us had ever experienced in the past. I really liked that you had a solid emotional core. You knew what you valued and how you wanted to live, and your words and actions were consistent. You might have a spike every couple of weeks, but your state is overall stable and reliable, which always made me feel safe.
From the very beginning, I was super impressed with the level of your self-awareness. Before you got tired, you already knew you struggle with your emotions and that you had a tendency to ignore them. You also knew that you got easily lost in another person's preferences and that you had to cultivate your own and figure out what it means to live on your own terms. When we met, you were already in the middle of getting to know yourself better, and you had already taken tangible steps towards that path. Only later I learned how hard you had to fight for these insights and changes. But really, from the very beginning, I've always been super impressed with your dedication and strength, and I knew I wanted a woman like that in my life.
The objective personality system has helped us recognize our emotional differences. We respected them right from the beginning, and neither of us thinks that our way to handle emotions is better, and neither of us forces their way onto the other either. Both Felix and I wanted to give the other what they needed, which might be an emotional exchange or the time to retract. But do we always do that perfectly? No, we don't. But with patience and compassion, we reassess and adapt because we want to support each other's happiness in the way that works best for us, not everyone else.
If you want to connect to anyone, platonically or romantically, emotions and values are key. Theodore Roosevelt said, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." In my experience, this is more than true, even if it's scary news for the thinkers out there. No matter how out of touch with your emotions you are, knowing your values and expressing them is an art that can be cultivated and a skill that can be practiced. It might take you a few years, but I know you can get there.